Published 1719 Eastern Standard Time, the 3rd of March 2018. Updated 1929 Eastern Standard Time, the 3rd of March 2018. The real story behind a confronting photograph showing a group of Aboriginal drinkers surrounded by a ring of hundreds of Victoria Bitter beer cans can be told for the first time. Award-winning photographer Paul Blackmore took the picture at Borroloola in the Northern Territory while on assignment for Time Australia magazine. He titled the shot, "Green Can Dreaming," a territory term combining the local phrase for Victoria Bitter with a common contraction of dreamtime, which describes Aboriginal existence and spiritual beliefs. Blackmore could not take the same picture today. Current legislation limits takeaway sales of alcohol in Borroloola to cans of mid-strength beer 18 per person per day, so it is no longer possible to buy VB. Paul Blackmore took this picture of Aboriginal drinkers surrounded by a circle of crushed Victoria Bitter beer cans, which he titled "Green Can Dreaming," while on assignment for Time Australia at Borroloola, about 1,000 kilometers southeast of Darwin. One afternoon, an Indigenous patron of the Borroloola hoisted a case of VB cans on his shoulder and asked Paul Blackmore outside for a drink. The pair walked about 500 meters to a clearing where they met 4 other drinkers, 1 man and 4 women. When Paul Blackmore visited the Borroloola Inn, pictured in the Northern Territory, the hotel, which has since closed, was selling huge quantities of alcohol to the local Indigenous community. Blackmore described it as like a Wild West scene. The picture first appeared as a 2-page spread in an edition of Time on August 14, 2006 with a story titled "The Demon Drink," and quickly became the basis for distasteful emails about Aborigines and drinking. It also won the Josephine Ulrich and Wen Schubert Photography Award, and its depressing reality shocked those who saw it around the world. Many people who viewed the image refused to believe it could be real. Blackmore, whose photographic essays have appeared in international titles including L'Express and Le Monde as well as local magazines, told Daily Mail Australia how "Green Can Dreaming" came to be taken. The Sydney-based snapper had long been interested in Indigenous affairs and had captured plenty of positive images of Aboriginal people in the past. After a stint living in France, he returned to Australia and decided the real story of remote communities was not being told. "I thought this is the reality and it's got to be shown," he said. "It does need to be reported." That was my starting point. Blackmore had travelled widely in the Northern Territory, but was still disturbed by what he found at Borroloola, a town on the MacArthur River about 970 kilometres southeast of Darwin, particularly in the local hotel. At the time, Borroloola had a population of 773 residents, 74.9% of them Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders, with only 38 aged over 65, according to the 2016 census. The amount of alcohol the pub was selling was frightening, Blackmore said. They were selling something like 70,000 cans of beer a week. Award-winning photographer Paul Blackmore captured this image in a Darwin park of an intoxicated woman with a bandaged head wound and blood visible on her top while on the same assignment in which he shot "Green Can Dreaming" at Borroloola. During his trip to Borroloola, photographer Paul Blackmore met mother of 5 Ruth Rory, center, in grey t-shirt, who had her leg amputated in October 2005 after her partner bashed her with a tree branch. Her partner was jailed for 4.5 years. Borroloola is a town with a population of 871, about 970 kilometers southwest of Darwin on the MacArthur River in the Northern Territory. At 2016 census, 76.1% of Borroloola's residents were Indigenous and only 55 were over the age of 65. The pub, which has since closed, already had a long and violent history. In 1998, a man called Peter Fiddick shot dead his pregnant ex-girlfriend Debbie Batzler at the hotel. During his trip, Blackmore met mother of 5 Ruth Rory, whose drunk partner had bashed her so severely with a tree branch the previous year her leg had to be amputated. "It was a wild scene," Blackmore said. "Really unbelievable. It was a free-for-all. A Wild West scene. Right next to the pub was this huge pile of green cans, as far as the eye could see. Just masses of them." Photographer Paul Blackmore captured a scene of public drinking in the Northern Territory, which shocked the world. Blackmore got some shots inside the hotel, but the licensee was not keen on publicity. One afternoon, an Indigenous patron hoisted a case of VB cans on his shoulder and asked Blackmore outside for a drink. They walked about 500 meters to a clearing where they met 5 other drinkers, 1 man and 4 women. The group was surrounded by a circle of crushed VB cans and cardboard cartons. Blackmore instantly knew he had the opportunity to capture a powerful image. "It was perfectly circular," he said. "It was like a mitten. And they're sitting around it in a perfect shape. The circular thing and the fact that it was in that beautiful bush setting. I asked if I could take a photo and they said yes. I got permission and started photographing, then felt like that was enough. I could have gone in closer and got shots of individuals. I walked into the scene. It was offered to me in a way. I thought take the photo and then move on from it. It was one of those shots that just tells the story instantly. For some time after the picture's publication, a poor quality photocopy was circulated in racist emails and it still appears on crude discussions about Aboriginal drinking. It's been one of those images, Blackmore said. I was aware after it got published people picked it up and it was emailed around. It can be used out of context. I was only aware that it was used for a little while after it was published. In one such use the picture was captioned, "Who's ready for Friday drinks? Anyone who wishes to buy takeaway alcohol in the Northern Territory is required to provide photo identification. Patrons cannot buy alcohol in containers larger than 2 liters in Catherine." Pictured as a bottle shop in Catherine in 2006. The Last Chance Saloon at Catherine, in the Northern Territory, in 2006. Takeaway alcohol bought in Catherine must be removed from licensed premises immediately, while only light beer can be purchased from licensed premises before midday. While Green Can Dreaming depicts a real outback drinking session, Blackmore says it is important to note heavy alcohol consumption is more likely to take place in public in the Northern Territory than in capital cities. In Darwin it's hard not to be aware of people drinking in the park, he said. That's the thing about drinking in the territory, it's done in public. That's why you see it. In urban Australia, a lot of boozing is hidden, out of sight. Half of Sydney, if you asked them to put their empty wine bottles and beer cans down next to the lawn it'd be a shocking scene, but it's all out in the open in the territory. Blackmore returned to Borroloola in 2016. I braced myself but found a different scene. People were drinking and stuff but it was nothing like it was before, he said. I was shocked how much it had changed. Just having that pub closed down, it felt like a ghost town compared to what it was. It felt like it had cleaned itself up a bit. Food stalls and patrons at the Borroloola Rodeo in 2016. When photographer Paul Blackmore found the town had changed since his visit in 2006, it felt like a ghost town compared to what it was, he said. It felt like it had cleaned itself up a bit. The Borroloola Rodeo, pictured, is the one event in the Northern Territory town that sees almost everyone gather at the showgrounds for a community event. Everyone was out at the rodeo, Paul Blackmore said of his last visit in 2016. In 2016 there were 871 people living in Borroloola, 76.1% were Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders, and only 55 were over the age of 65. Northern Territory Government Department of Health alcohol restrictions for Borroloola now cover who can drink what and where. It's legal to drink in the town itself, but the nearby Mara Camp, Yanula Camp, Garawa 1 Camp and Garawa 2 Camp are alcohol-protected areas, meaning drinking alcohol is strictly banned. Anyone buying takeaway alcohol in the Northern Territory needs photo identification to prove they are not on the banned drinker register. Since the closure of the Borroloola Inn, the nearest pub selling takeaway alcohol is the Heartbreak Hotel at Crawford Creek, about 100 kilometers southwest of the town. The Molandari store in Borroloola also sells takeaway alcohol but only from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Monday to Saturday. It does not trade on Sundays. Only mid-strength, not more than 3.5% alcohol, canned beer is available to Borroloola residents with a limit of 18 cans per person per day. That means no VB and no Green Can Dreaming.